Hello, everyone!
Hello!
Welcome to another Great Story Project podcast episode.
We're so excited to be here with you today because we are going to be talking about maybe one of the most important things ever. And I know Kayla's going to say it. I say that for everything. But this is something that has been one of our most powerful strategies for growth. We are both working to try it. And this thing is called Bibleotherapy. And we're not just trying it, we are doing it and experiencing change and growth in enormous ways. And I truly can say that maybe more than anything else, this one thing, Bibleotherapy, has changed me deeply. And by the way, when I say that, I'm speaking outside of religion because Jesus changes me more than anything. But outside of that, this one thing has changed me more than anything. So get excited. We're going to talk about bibliotherapy, what it is, why it's awesome, and some strategies to help you get into something like this.
Have you ever struggled with finding meaning and purpose in everyday life?
My name is Mindy.
And my name is Kayla. And this is the Great Story Project, where we share how life-changing adventures don't just exist in fairy tales, but in real life.
And even you can make your own life story great. Okay, so what is bibliotherapy? I first heard of this idea, such a long time ago, when I came upon a gentleman named Greg Denning. So Greg, if you're listening to this, shout out to you. He is one of my personal mentors and one of my heroes, as he really helped me to dive deeply into personal development and shared so many unique ideas with me. And one of these is bibliotherapy. So technically, like by its definition, it means it is relating to books and therapy, and it's a treatment intending to relieve or heal a disorder. Which is interesting because if you think of therapy, we go and get therapy for lots of reasons in our lives, right? And it's supposed to help us with blocks or trauma or hard things that have happened in our lives. And so what bibliotherapy is actually doing the same thing, is removing blocks, helping us to see new things, but through reading books. I mean, how could this be better than that, Kayla? Like, how could anything be better than this? Although you are talking to two total nerds and geeks of reading. I know many of you out there are like, what if I hate reading? Hold the thought.
We'll talk about y'all too.
Yes, we'll come back to you later. But yeah, it's like I can change and grow based off of reading something. And this is really important to me because I had a lot of blocks. I came to personal development. I entered into the space of personal development because I didn't like some of the things that I was thinking. I didn't like how I felt stuck in certain ways. And so I dove into this space like a ravenous person. And I've told you this before. But the idea to remove the blocks by just reading books from people that had done it before me was very just like a fabulous idea. And so I dove in and I started reading, and that's when the change happened. And with every single book I read, more change comes. And so here in this podcast, we want to give you 3 important reasons to read. And do we mean just any book, Kayla? Like when we talk about bibliotherapy, are we talking about just any book?
No, I'm sorry. We're talking about good, deep books that change your perspective, that change the way you think, that give you something new, that offers something that can change your life.
Exactly. So that leads us to our number 1 reason why it's important to read books that change you, deep books. And this is, it will change your perspective. It like plants a little seed. It calls you to a higher plane and calls you to leave changed as a different person. So my mentor, Greg, that I told you I learned this from, he created a whole audio program called Bibleotherapy. You guys should totally listen to it. It's where all of this was born for me, and he It's like a 33-page document or an audio program. And he shares all of these amazing reasons and quotes and studies. It is well worth your time. You should check it out. I'm going to share a quote from his audio program. And this is what he says. There is very little difference between someone who cannot read and someone who will not read. The result of either is always going to be ignorance. Ooh, that's like such a profound quote, right? Whether you cannot or will not, we're still lacking. We still lack because of that. And then he continues, reading is essential for any of us that desires to seek to rise above the ordinary, to take our lives from okay to awesome, from average to epic, from ordinary to extraordinary. If we want to move past that barrier, if we want to cross that huge gulf that separates us from the mediocre to excellent, then we've got to develop the habit of reading good books and taking what we learn and embed it in our minds, in our hearts, in our souls, and in our lives. That's so profound. What do you think, Kayla, about this idea of these books changing our perspective?
Yeah, I've totally experienced it. And I've been thinking about it recently as I've been saying it in a different way, that reading these books and getting these good input from other people and from other sources is so important, because we experience all these feelings, all these things inside of us, and we experience the world in our own unique and special way. But it's hard for us to make sense of it. It's hard for us to put the words to our experiences and our feelings. And what books do and what other people do is they give you the words that you need to all of a sudden be able to see things differently. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like it would have such a big effect, but it really does. It's because I was thinking about this the other day, and I was journaling because I had felt these things in the past couple of weeks. I was like, why am I so scared of this? Why am I doing this? And I found my words, but I only did it after sitting down and journaling and really, really thinking about it, which is another way that you can do it. But the best way that I've found is that I can connect things with the words that other people are able to give me. They put words to what I'm feeling and thinking, and that's what these books can do for you, and it changes everything. And I just love that phrase of finding the right words.
Yeah. And that's so powerful, because even like when Matt and I have gone to courses together, or classes together, or at school when we've read books and it gives us this language or these thoughts, then all of a sudden when we're struggling with something later, or we're trying to communicate an idea to each other, or feelings that we're having, or a struggle that we're experiencing, we're like, can use that word, it's a story I'm creating, it's right, a mindset, and we can use those words and connect and communicate in a powerful way. So I love that. Okay, so our second point for why reading from incredible books, why bibliotherapy is so powerful, is because it gives you a whole slew of mentors for just like pennies on the dollar. Compare how much a book costs. By the way, here is our stack of books. This is just a few.
This is your stack of books.
Okay, this is my stack of books.
You see some of my books behind.
Some of yours are in here too. But these cost very little compared to paying for a personal coach, a life coach, a therapist. But somebody spent a ton of time. Someone spent years. This is one of our favorites, The Slight Edge. Jeff Olson, he spent a long time, I promise you, putting all of his thoughts and ideas into this, and we get it for, I don't know, $20. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't know how much this costs, but not that expensive, and we have access to it. And guess what? Jeff is now one of my mentors. And I say this all the time to the people that I work with at school, and I'm like, I have so many mentors. Most of them don't even know that I exist, although they would love me if they knew me. But I have so many mentors because they came from this. They came from all of the books. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich. It's a mind trip of a book that if you have not thought about the power of belief before, then you should check that book out. But he talks about this really interesting idea called the imaginary counsel. And he says when he has a question or something that he needs to figure out, he will sit in a quiet place, he will close his eyes, and he will imagine the room, like a boardroom, full of the most important people that have become his mentors, that he's read and studied from. So Abraham Lincoln, Napoleon, or Thomas Edison, or, an apostle from the Bible. And he would imagine all of these people just sitting there, and he would say, Abraham Lincoln, tell me your thoughts about this. And because he had read about Abraham and knew kind of who he was and some of the extraordinary things that he would do, he could imagine that person like sharing a thought with him and challenging his beliefs in a way that he was holding on to. And he would have these extraordinary men that he had read about and learned from, and they became his counsel. They became like his confidants and who he would go to ask questions. And I love this idea because I don't know about you, but sometimes it feels like I don't always have the best examples around me of all of the conundrums that I come across in my life. I might be like, cool, I love you, but I don't feel like you would know how to handle this very well, right? And maybe that's just my own pride or ego talking. But then I can go to a book of somebody who has experienced something like that and be like, okay, what did they do about it, right? So, for example, here's another one of my favorite books is Kisses from Katie. This one meant a lot to me, and she became one of my mentors, especially recently, as our family decided to go to Africa, to Uganda, and help in a children's home. And she became my mentor the whole time there. She has no idea about this, but she did. She wrote another book that's a sequel to this that maybe even hit me even more profound. She taught me how to have faith beyond what my own will was, that I could turn to God for every single thing, and that he would make up the difference, and that I was actually never meant to be enough, so that I could turn to him. And she showed me how to do that. And so she's my mentor. So these books, we can gain a whole slew of mentors that we wouldn't be able to find maybe any other way than this. Okay, so on to point number 3 is it can give you strategies and ideas to move forward. Okay, Kayla, what do you want to say about this one?
Well, I just wanted to say one thing is that these books, they not just can give you strategies and ideas, they give you 500. Like, these books are, especially the ones that we have back here, are filled to the brim with ways that you can change your life and habits that you can put in place and all the things, right? And it is incredible. It's this incredible wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure that if we followed every single one of the things in these books, then we would be like the best human being on planet Earth. But that's not possible. And so you might be thinking, what's the point of reading this anyway if I'm not going to do half the things they tell me to do because I can't do it all, But it's okay that you can't do it all. And I asked my mom this like years ago. I was like, what happens when I feel like I just can't do all these things? And she's like, it's okay because it's still a part of you. It becomes another flower that you can pick to make the beautiful bouquet of knowledge and wealth that you have for your future. And you really only need one habit that will create all the other habits, because lots of people say, hey, you can't just think it, you actually have to do it. And that is true in like every way. Like, don't take what I'm saying and give yourself permission to just be lazy. No, do whatever you can to apply these things in your life, because it will be 500 times faster if you decide to take action. But if you don't, never fear, because the one habit that you can count on is reading these books every day. And if you're always bringing in that good input, it will inevitably change your thoughts, which will change your actions. You cannot always keep these things in your life and not have it make a difference. So the important thing is just keeping these amazing thoughts and these amazing inspirations and strategies in your life and having faith that eventually you will be unable to stop yourself from becoming a better person.
I love that. Don't you love hearing her talk about that? Don't you just want her to talk to all of the youth that you know and just help convince them of all of this? Okay, so our third point was that these books give you strategies and ideas of how to move forward, how to become better. So remember I told you that I had lots of misbeliefs. I had lots of thoughts in my brain that just either were not so or weren't serving me well at all, even if they were so. And so I just want to go through some of these and tell you how the strategy that they gave me and how they changed me for the better.
5-second strategies.
Yes, this is fast. Okay, the power of TED. I am not sure I have heard any strategy greater than this of how to help me become creator in my life instead of a victim in my life. So a lot of my misbeliefs were because I was playing the victim in my story. And remember, we talked about this in our past podcasts. So this kind of like originated from this book. Okay, these two, teenagers that are watching this or parents, adults that are watching this, these are some of the most powerful books that I have ever read, and teenagers would love them. They're told in a story format, and they taught me the power of the little things. This is very much like the Slide Edge, but how the little things can compound to become very big things.
It's like the Slide Edge, but like super inspiring because you can actually see it applied in a story, in real life, per se.
Correct. Okay, Crucial Conversations has taught me the skill of communication and to have courage in my relationships. I am more of a quiet person that would, my past self, my not best self would just close up and be quiet and not work towards the best case scenario for the relationship. This helped me to have courage and know that I could grow the skills of communication.
And I want to share a little story about that this actually does work.
Share with us.
About a month or so ago, there was half of our family, or a part of our family, that was angry about something, and then the other half that was, on the other side of that, like, what's going on? And it was just not a good situation. People were yelling. It was all over the place, right? And then everybody kind of dispersed, and there was just this moment, I just remember Mom being like, no, we're sitting down, and we're figuring this out right now. And she asked each person, what do you want? What do you feel? Like, what did you actually want to say? What did each of you actually want to say? And she didn't stop. She didn't let them slip into victim. She didn't let it all go to heck. But she used the principles and tools that she learned in this book to be able to completely turn that situation around. And it was like I was watching a miracle. It was a master. I was just sitting there like in awe because it was so beautiful, because I'm the same way as you. Not in that I will always shut down, but I am very much like agreeable people pleaser, and so I'll be on the side of just, I won't say anything. I'll just be like, hey, it's okay. Or I'll, go off, Well, someone has to say it. But this shows you that there's another way.
Yeah. So I'm so glad you shared that, Kayla, because we all have those kind of moments in our lives, but this book gives me courage. So if you need better skills in learning how to talk to the people that you love and through really hard conversations, this is your book, okay? Okay, and then we've talked about The Hiding Place before. This book taught me love and forgiveness, even in a deeper way that I couldn't see or hear as well through the scriptures. I love the scriptures. The scriptures are my first and my top, but this like cemented principles from the scriptures. Guys, if you have not read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People,
what are you doing?
Seriously, thank you. This is like kind of the Bible of all of it. So maybe
the
start
Personal Growth
here.
Bible.
The Personal Growth Bible. Yes, it's powerful.
It's kind of a beast, but as you get through it, you'll just be like, That was me. So I listened to it too. I tried to start reading it a couple years ago. It didn't work, so you can listen to it as well.
Okay, and then these books on belief, mindset and belief. Where is my other one? Hold on. I gotta show you guys this. If you want a book that will like blow your brain and really challenge this idea of what the magic of believing can do, then these books. If you've got health problems, if you have some deep stuck mindsets or thoughts that you feel like are coming to you in a physical way, then these books are really powerful. So we'll include these on the list as well. Okay, so I have all these books. These are just a few, but each one has given me a thought that I didn't have before, and actually an essential building block to help me become the best version of myself. Mm-hmm. Okay, Kayla, I want to hear about some of your books now.
This I started the year that I first started reading, 2018.
It's so cool, you guys.
And I fell in love with reading. And so I was so proud of myself because I read like 17 books in one summer and I had barely even touched a book before that. So this is my book list that I've had since 2018. And it's every single book that I've ever finished. And it just kind of keeps going. And I plan to add to it for the rest of my life. And I'm so excited to keep adding to it. Anyway, so that could be a cool thing that you do. I've always loved it. And I'd be like, what's that book? And I can just go back.
Perfect. So before we end, we just want to tell you a few tips because you're probably having some questions, lots of questions that come up because they do for all of us. So what if you don't like to read? So both of us cannot sympathize too much with you in that because we both actually love to read. But we have some strategies for you if you don't like to read. Listen to the books. Audiobooks are awesome and there's such a wide library that you can find. There's even lots of books for free online. Some of these older personal development books are free. So you can find them there. Also, like Kayla said, just make a goal and read a little bit every single day because that's where the power lies. It
really helps. In the Slide Edge, it talks about if you read 10 pages of a good book a day, guess how many books that is that you've read by the end of the year?
How many?
12. 12 whole, amazing personal growth books that can change your life. And I don't even apply this in my life. And I totally should because I really feel like it would change your life. So literally just make a goal, 10 pages a day. That's it. But I mean, obviously the Slide Edge, do it every day.
Every day. Okay, and here's one maybe you haven't thought about. Pray about it. Ask Heavenly Father to help you increase your skill of reading or your love or desire to read. I have a deep testimony that God can change us from the inside out. And that if after hearing this, or maybe we're like the second or the third or the 50th person that's told you that good books can change you, but you still feel stuck in this, ask God. Ask Him to change your heart. Because I know He will. Because I think that God wants us to grow in the ways that these books can change us. Okay, so what if you don't know where to start, Kayla?
We are going to link or just put a list of all the books that we've loved down below. And of course, you can start with any of the books that we've just mentioned. They're some of the best because you can read a lot and some aren't, like some don't have the words that you need. But these are the words that we needed. They're amazing, so you can choose any of those.
And you can even just go online and search Greg Denning's Booklist, and you can find that for free as well, because he's the list I'm currently working off of. And I know that his wife, Rachel Denning, she's amazing. She is working off of Jordan Peterson's book list. So there's so many book lists you can research and just start picking away at it.
So many books to read. It's incredible.
Another place is just find a group of friends that love to read. If you know us, because you probably know us if you're watching this, then be like, okay guys, let's read this book together and talk about it. Because there's power in discussing the principles of the book as well.
Amen.
Okay, so last thing from me. As a personal development coach, I always have lots of questions. So I have some questions for you. What was the last book you read that moved you? What was the last book that you read that changed you and desperately made you want to be better? Have you read a book like that lately? And if not, pick one of these that sounds amazing and read it. And I would ask, what habits do you need to either start doing or stop doing so that you can make reading a part of your life? And if you have had a favorite book that has changed you and you want to put it in the comments of this podcast, we would love you forever for that, because we're always excited to read new books. And I will say this again, and I will say it always for as long as you know me. This habit of reading powerful books has changed my life more than anything else, because it gives me the words, it gives me a new perspective shift, it gives me brand new friends and mentors that I didn't have before. That's our last one. It gives me strategies to know how to move forward. So if you're looking for those kind of things, join us in Bibleotherapy, because it is awesome.
Okay, guys, so now we're each going to say our quotes. You can go first.
Okay. My quote is from Jim Rohn. He is a guru of personal development. He says, "When you crack open the pages of a book, you are not just reading words, you are tapping into the collective knowledge of those who have walked the path of success before you." Awesome.
So good. Okay, and then mine is from a book called The Life of Frederick Douglass, and it's about a slave. And it's really interesting. In this story, he has this kind mistress who kind of accidentally starts to teach him how to read. And he's just this kid. Then the mistress's husband comes in and he's like, "What are you doing? If you teach this slave how to read, you will ruin him for being a slave forever." And Frederick took that idea and he latched onto it, and he decided that that was the one thing that he had to do. And so he learned how to read, and it changed everything. And it was the reason that why he became free. So he says, once you learn to read, you will be forever free. So,
okay, take these ideas and run with it, folks.
and remember, every moment is an adventure, and you are living your own great story.
So make it a page turner. Bye, guys.